Hello, Patreon patrons, YouTube subscribers, and generally anyone who happens to stumble across these videos. Welcome to another exciting edition of How to Art with Johnston Blackhorse. Hey, that's me! And, uh, drop the stupid accent. Nah. No, you can't make me. Never do it. I'd like to see you try to stop me. Anyway, a continuation of last week's How to Art. We were going over the basics of how to draw hands, and I showed you how to use your own hand for reference, little guidelines and whatever I showed you, just using your own hands as reference and getting the proportions and whatnot correct for your personal hand drawings. Now, as I stated before, each individual hand is going to be different. Perhaps your hand, heaven forbid, your hands were received any major damage through some sort of accident or whatnot. But for the most part, every hand is going to be unique. Male hands are going to be gruffer and very rugged, where feminine hands are going to be very elegant and soft looking. And like I said, for the ring finger and index finger ratios, they're going to be differentiated between male and female hand studies, because the testosterone or estrogen dictates the length of your index and ring finger. With all that said, just going over the brief what we covered briefly last week, and I guess we'll continue. And here we have last week's drawing of the back of the hand. So I keep feeling this hair on me somewhere. Huh? Yeah, I get little bits of hair here and there. Like my hair's falling out, probably because of all the stress that I've been suffering over the last couple of years. Geez, freaking prison, stupid government, obscenity law nonsense. It's ridiculous. But still fighting that good fight, fighting for my right for my freedom of expression of art, as many of you might know. But anyway, on with the lesson. Okay, we have our trusty pencil, our number 2 wooden pencil. Just don't have to get too complicated with what we're trying to do. Just trying to cover the basics and whatever. So I'm drawing the palm side of the hand. Let's go over and just real quick draw a square. Just a brief going over what we went over last week in last week's How to Art. Now, for those of you just joining us, I suggest that you go back to last week's video, just so you can understand what it is what I'm doing here with these 2 squares. So I keep feeling that. Where? I don't know where it is. It's like I keep feeling this hair rubbing up against me. Anyway, so for those who know what's going on here, damn it, I know it's here. It's just gonna keep bugging me until I get it. Where is it coming from? I have no idea. It's like I don't see it, but I can feel it. Anyway, okay, just freaking ignore it, Blackhorse. Just stop thinking about it, and then it'll go away. Oh, all right, enough. All right, the bottom squares for the palm. Top square is for the fingers. So they're generally going to be the same size, as you can roughly kind of see here. Let me zoom in a little bit. Now, from the The back of the hand, like I said in last week's video, it's going to be slightly different. Like not in the way that you measure stuff, but like in the way you portray it. Now, let's go ahead and just like divide this top square into fourths to show where each finger is going to be sitting in. So here we have it divided into fours. Like this is going to be like our general area where we're going to put our fingers. Now, there's like one of the details that you have to like figure out about your hand, and like studying it and observing it and figuring out how to draw it. Like from here, like you see that on the back you'll have your knuckles, but on the side it's like just going to be like this padding here, the pads of your palm here. So if you take the time to like just really examine and palpate the region in your hand to feel it, like right here where my thumb is, like on the back is like where I'm feeling the knuckle. So like just take some time to like observe that, and like right here is the next knuckle, ring finger knuckle, and the pinky knuckle, like right there. And as you can see, like it's going to be like following somewhat of an arc. So if we take last week's lesson into account with how we measured the knuckles and how we aligned them, can go over here and just like keeping last week's lesson in mind, we generally know like where this is gonna take place, or where these joints are gonna be. But you want to draw them, like sketch them in like lighter than I've drawn them here, because in these little circles you're just giving yourself a basic guide on where these things lie. So again, from last week's video, so like the middle finger is going to be the longest finger, and from last week's video, like showed you how to like draw from like from joint to joint, like the length of the finger. From the palm side, it's going to be a little different. So if because you got to take into account that you're not drawing the I swear, where is it? Oh my gosh, I think I got it. There it is. It's been bugging me for the last several minutes. Anyway, so here when we drew the knuckles, it's like well, we drew like these creases, the wrinkles, like the folds in the hand, like right here. But on here, they're almost they don't go as far as they go in right here. So here, these lines almost like reach knuckles, but on this side, it's like they kind of end at this at the finger crotch. So here we'll just like kind of rough that in, like, but over here on the pinky it's going to be like a little lower. So as you see, like these two kind of line up, but then this one is goes a bit lower. So if we look at the front of the fingers and like you take note of like the padding on the fingers here, they're almost pretty equal. You know, if we take like the we'll just use this as, so you take from the end of the pencil here and like mark it off here, you'll see that they're almost pretty equal, especially these two, like these two pads here on the fingers, like pretty equal, and like here it's just like a little bit shorter. So if we take that into account and just kind of mark this off in thirds, of course this one, these two parts here are going to be very similar in size, whereas the part here, it's going to be slightly smaller than these two. So we'll just like rough that in, and then again, like going from like measuring your hand, like since I'm a dude, since I'm a male, like my index finger is going to be longer than my ring finger. So if we just kind of take a visual marker and just like kind of see that this ring finger, it's slightly higher, or there's like right in the middle of these 2 points here. So we'll just mark that off there. And as for the index finger, it's slightly, if I can get the right angle, it's slightly higher, but like right below my ring finger here. So if we take that into account, we'll just lightly mark that in. And as for the pinky falls like right below this line here. So we'll go ahead and like make these lines, and just kind of keeping the general guideline that we've like shown, or I've shown you for the middle finger. This is like more or less marked in thirds, with the tip of it, this little area here, just going to be slightly smaller than these other two. And then we'll do the same here. So we got those little guide markers there, and we come back to the pinky. It's slightly below this one right here, so we'll just lightly put that in. And this is going to be kind of coming down, like it comes down. Sorry if you like hear like some violence going on in the background. I'm currently watching, binge watching Walking Dead. Since I've been away for a few years, I haven't given myself an opportunity to catch up on a lot of like movies and like series. And Walking Dead was just one of those things where it's just like, oh man, I just got so much to catch up onto. So at this point, it just feels so much like a chore to just like catch up on what the heck's been going on over the last few years since I've been away. So I'm just going ahead and just after catching up on a lot of like favorite cartoons and episodes, like I'm finally taking the time out in a way to just catch up on some Walking Dead. So that's what you hear in the background. Anyway, back to this. So, doing the pinky again like we did the other two. Well, for the pinky, it's like we can kind of see that. Well, for my hand anyway, like this might be different for other people, but the padding on my pinky here is going to be more or less the same. But if anything, like padding here on the tip of my pinky finger is going to be like a little longer than each of these. So bearing that in mind, we'll just go ahead and like draw in like these little rough lines in there. And for the thumb, it's like we take this and like from the last week's lesson, the thumb kind of came up like halfway in between the index knuckle here and the first joint here. So bearing that in mind, we just come over here and just, yeah, it kind of comes up to the middle of this part here. So just mark that off a bit and draw that for the hand. And this I wouldn't call it a finger crotch because it's not quite like these, like the I don't know, thumb armpit, the thumb pit, I guess. Oh man, I do not know the scientific names or the technical terms for all these body parts, but like I said, I just train myself to draw them, not name them. It's like if you want the proper names for these things, like just maybe you should look up some biology videos or something, or maybe I should take it upon myself to do that. Maybe make this like a little biology lesson too. So, drawing the thumb pit. It's as you can see, it's like kind of halfway in between, like right smack dab in the palm. Like so, if the knuckles on the backside are like lining up with the pencil here, and we take the rest of the palm, it almost falls somewhat in the middle. So bearing that in mind, I just kind of eyeball it and draw that thumb pit in there. I'm just gonna use these mediocre terms for just making up these words, and like when maybe someday when you take it upon yourself to try to teach these lessons to somebody else, and like you're taking some of the terminology that I'm just making up, like you're gonna confuse a lot of people. But if it comes across all right, you know. So like going from last week's video, the wrist kind of lines up with that, and the other side of the wrist lines up with this a little bit. And like the lines in the palms, like they're going to be different for everybody. Like as you can see here, like my lines just follow like a very unique pattern for myself. As you can see, there's an M here and a little lightning bolt over here. Maybe someone can read my palm if you're into that type of thing with this video. But like the main lines I usually like to draw are like the ones that divide the part for the thumb here. And sometimes I'll throw in this line here, but for the most part I'll just kind of just do this and this, just to get that little bit of detail in there. So as you can see, it's like somewhat of a kind of like a triangular shape when I draw palms or hands, but those aren't generally the lines that I have in my hand. But this is just to get that little bit of detail across, that this is the palm side that you're looking at. And drawing these wrinkles like in your wrist, sometimes I like to do like a little indication for like the main tendon here on the middle of the wrist, just to get that point across. So now I'm going to come in and just like do some of the detail. Come in and just like instead of these blocky fingers, go ahead and taper these off. Look at this stuff. Isn't it neat? Wouldn't you think my collection's complete? Wouldn't you think I'm the girl who has everything? Look at this trove, treasures untold. How many wonders can one cavern hold? Looking around here, you think, sure, she's got everything. I've got gadgets and gizmos aplenty. I've got who's-its and what's-its galore. You want thingamabobs? I got 20. But who cares? No big deal. I want more. I want to be where the people are. I want to see them dancing, strolling along on those. Okay, that's enough. I'm just screwing around, just filling up time as I'm drawing in these details for you, and hopefully for those of you who are able to, like, if you're really good visual learners, you're able to get some good pointers and tips and guidelines just to kind of teach yourself and show yourself, like, utilizing your own hand as reference to just guide yourself on how to draw hands. And we'll go ahead and continue this lesson next week, and we'll go more in depth with other ways to draw hands. Just going over like a few little tips and notes, and then from there, just I'll show you how to draw like dynamic hands in different positions, I guess. Anyway, we're past the 20-minute mark, so I hope you enjoyed this little tutorial, and hope you were able to gain something from it. If you like this video, then go ahead, give me a thumbs up, leave a comment in the comment section below. If you want to support more content and videos like this, please go to my Patreon page, and if you like what you see there, become a patron. And I try to make these how to art videos and release them every Monday. This one is probably gonna be a little late. It's getting down to the wire. And every Tuesday I make and release a sketchbook tour, and we're getting there as far as subscribers. Well, I'm pretty low on subscribers right now. I only have 35. But as far as patrons go and patronage, we're getting pretty up there with one of my goals, and that's to become like fully self-sufficient with what I'm doing here, and that's only possible with your help. And it's a very big help for me. Like what I want to do is just make very informative videos and like awesome animations and drawings and content, and just make a living on that. And it's only possible with viewership like yours, patronage like yours, and subscribers like you who are interested, and just the many dedicated fans, followers, and friends who've been with me since my blog went up, and who have been following my struggle and just continue to cheer me on. You guys are just freaking awesome. I love you guys. My sister appreciates you. My family's just excited for all of you. I wish you could just meet all of them, and you guys have been just a very wonderful help, and you just make me feel not so alone. And I really do appreciate all of you for that. And you are just very lovely people, and I just wish there was just more I could do. But right now, I'll just continue making just the stuff that I'm making. And as long as you're willing to support me by just giving me maybe as little low as $1 a month, but it's like just another step closer to the goal of just being self-sufficient, and just continuing my life struggle to fight for my right to art. So with all that said, I'll leave links to my Patreon and my blog in the description section. And yeah, and I thank you for watching. So tune in tomorrow when I'll watch, or I'll release another sketchbook tour, and keep tuning in as the weeks continue, and I'll keep making how to art videos and sketchbook tours. So yeah, keep watching, and I'll check you guys later. Sweet.